Welcome back to the Comstock Clan. We're Kevin and Christy. Today is a pregnancy week 11 update. If you haven't already seen the previous videos, we had a miscarriage about 2 weeks?
Over 2 weeks ago.
Two weeks ago. If you haven't watched that, then go check that out. We share that experience. And today we're going to update on where Christy's at and what we're doing next.
This video is not for most people. We're gonna kind of just share some of the gory details of both the emotional and the physical side of waiting for and having a natural miscarriage. This is something that I found it comforting to hear other people's stories while going through the process and waiting for the process. And so this video is for you as opposed to people who are just watching our channel. Turn this off if you don't want to hear the gory details. Just to kind of give a full outline of the process, we found out on a Wednesday that we had lost the baby. Not entirely sure if it was a situation where it was a blighted ovum or if it was a miscarriage where the baby actually started growing. We have an amazing midwife and she has an ultrasound, which is such a blessing, but it is a much older ultrasound and it does not give you some of the detail that a lot of the devices have when you go in to a medical facility and get an ultrasound done. I don't really know for sure if there was growth or not. Part of me says that there is a great chance that there was because I did get my blood work done at that 6-week mark and
You had elevated.
It was all totally normal, which tells me that there's everything was normal at that point at 6 weeks. And then it was sometime between 6 and 9 weeks that we lost the baby. We found out that there was not a visible embryo with a heartbeat. We processed that and I have gone through a miscarriage before. I miscarried at 12 weeks and we try and do everything as natural as possible. So for us, the obvious decision was to just
wait it out,
have a natural miscarriage. About a week later, it's the following Thursday, so 8 days later, my midwife came down to redo some of the blood work that for some reason it didn't come back. They weren't able to test the blood that we did the previous week. So she came back for that. And at that point in time, for some reason, I had decided that, we lost this baby earlier on, and so obviously I would miscarry the baby much earlier than the last time. And so when I found out that we lost the baby, I thought that I was going to complete the miscarriage within a few days. That's what I had decided in my head. And it had been 8 days, and I was just I'm done. I'm ready for this process to be over. We talked about this in the video. I think it's called Pregnant But Not Pregnant. We talked about the decision to, she gave us herbs, or she gave me some herbs to take to help bring on the miscarriage. We decided that I wasn't going to take them, that we were just going to continue to wait and trust that God's timing was best.
The waiting commenced.
We waited for what ultimately was 15 days after finding out. So I was just 1 day short of 11 weeks pregnant when I finally had the miscarriage. That was hard, especially coupled, the fact that I thought that it was gonna just be over soon and that it was 15 days, it was just hard because it was just I feel like I went through a minor level of depression through it. Not that I was upset. I had felt like I had processed the loss and that I was trusting God and that I was in a really good place with it. But I think just hormonally and just the process of waiting just all kind of like took everything out of me and made it hard. And we accomplished stuff, but we did not I've done some major stuff on my computer, but like I spent the majority of the time in our bedroom. I didn't want to go anywhere because I didn't like
I will not leave my bedroom till my room is clean. Cleansed.
That's kind of like where I was coming from. I was terrified of
having the miscarriage, not in an environment where she could be okay with whatever happened.
But it wasn't just, I didn't want to go hiking. Like the idea of being out on a trail and having that process start was terrifying to me.
Or even...
And I think rightfully so. I mean, that would have been awful. I would have been like, that would have been the worst thing ever. But what I do want to say is that, like, it didn't just happen like all of a sudden it's happening. I'm going to kind of go through it led up to. And I don't know if that's always the case, but I'm going to share my story. I think that the problem was that I felt like I needed to just wait. I felt like I just needed to be in my room and just wait. But on the other side of things, I wasn't allowing myself to just do that. And I was fighting with myself and I was frustrated and I didn't want to just be in my room and I wanted to be out doing our normal weekly rhythm and living our life the way that we have chosen to live it. And I wasn't, and I hadn't really committed to not, and it was frustrating because it was taking so long.
You were in this place of limbo and yeah.
I'm happy that we waited. I believe that when you wait and you just allow your body to do what it has to do, that it allows your body to do it in a way that is the most graceful. I do believe that if I had taken the herbs and tried to bring it on faster, obviously herbs aren't going to force your body into anything like what medication will. It's still going to encourage it to do things that it might not be
fully prepared to do on its own.
I feel like I'm happy with our decision. With that, I'm happy I waited. The one thing that I wish I would have done is that I would have just been okay with, you know what? Making the decision that I'm going to hang out in a room and I'm going to be okay with it and I'm going to make the most of it. And I did I feel like I did make the most of it, but I also feel like I was internally fighting that decision the whole time. Feeling like I was...
It wasn't 100% peaceful because of that battle right there. And I remember Christy saying, "You're not here with me and you've just kind of gone on with your life." And it wasn't until a couple days ago where I made the decision. I said, all right, I'm going to just stop everything and just be with her. And it was the next day, maybe 2 days later, is when
where it's like, if we would have just made that decision to begin with, I wonder if it would have happened. Because we found that when you fight things from happening that are happening, you generally prolong the process. It's so hard. It's so hard to just
allow God to become the one that's really in control. A lot of times we hold on and hold on and hold on and hold on. And my dad used to say, "You can't push the river."
What is that supposed to mean?
When you allow God to come in and do the things that He wants to have happen in a time that's not your own, it's so much more peaceful.
I'm gonna go back. We found out on Wednesday. Thursday, still nothing. 8 days later, Thursday, nothing had happened. Friday morning was when I made the final decision that I was not going to take any herbs.
It was Thursday night you decided that you weren't going to take anything.
No, it was Friday morning because we talked about it, and I was like, I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning. And then we talked about it Friday morning. And then it was Friday afternoon that I finally started to have a little bit of pink tinged discharge. And I was like, yes, it started. That was it. I had that, and then it was just a little bit more. Saturday and Sunday, it was just more spotting. Now, granted, like, I had been wearing a pad for
10 days
the
now.
day that I found out that we lost the baby, and I was just like, I'm so sick of this. I am done wearing these pads. And I'm like, and it stinks because I know that like I'm gonna have to wear it through the miscarriage and then however long afterwards, because I think I bled for like 2 weeks afterwards.
3
for the last one. Yeah. Anyway, so I feel better about the fact that I'm at least wearing a pad for a purpose. And so this kind of like the spotting kind of like just gradually increased over the next 5 days. So like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 6 days, Wednesday, Thursday, still spotting, not anything major. Mucus, like as it got farther into it, there was some more like mucusy stuff. And then Thursday, I finally was like sitting here, hanging out, doing some stuff on my computer, and I finally had like 2 or 3 times over the course of probably an hour or two, where I got up, went to the bathroom, and there was some blood clots. And so I heard somebody describe them as they look like little pieces of liver, and I think that is probably the best way to describe them, where they're like this big, like
size of a silver dollar,
little chunks of liver. And actually, I woke up Thursday morning and there was one, remember? Or 2 even.
Yeah, and you said, here, take a look at this.
And I showed him. And then later Thursday afternoon, there were like 2 more, and I was like, man, I keep hearing about this like event that happens when you have a miscarriage, and I couldn't remember from when I had it in 2019, because I think I just blocked it out because it was very emotional, and I wasn't able to disconnect the emotional to like fully experience the physical. At this point in time, I don't feel like there was a lot of emotion because I felt like we dealt with the emotion early on. And so I was able to really pay attention to the physical aspect of it. Woke up that morning with a couple of clots, and then it was like around 2-3 o'clock-ish that there were a couple more and a lot more bleeding. I remember sitting here. That was when you were gonna go run out with Harper to go get the milk in the mail.
That's right.
And
I said, are you gonna be okay? And she goes, no.
No, I'm like, you make sure that those kids are well occupied, because
if I need to get up to go to the bathroom, there best not be a backup or a slowdown.
It seems to be like a general rule that just, if I have to go pee, my path to the bathroom seems to be blocked often.
The bathroom's 4 feet away.
Well, no, but like wherever I am in the house, just as a general rule, where I have a kid like attached to my leg or something, and I'm just like, I cannot do that right now. I need like quick and easy path to the bathroom, because before you left, that was when I had a few clots, and I think that was when I had to change my pants because I got blood on my pants. Because I had a clot come out before I got, like, I'm usually really good at getting to the bathroom before the clots come out, and so it's just like the blood before the clot that hits the pad. But there were a few times where the blood was like, or the clot was in the pad and it like fell onto my pants, and it was, bleeding is gross, but not being able to contain it makes it unbearable in my book.
Can you sit there over there, please?
Yes. And so I, when I went through and had to change my pants, and I was just like, this is frustrating. Maybe this is the event. And it was literally like, it was like 3 or 4 trips to the bathroom with some clots each time and more blood. Like I felt kind of like gushing, And I was like, maybe this is it. It's like, that was easy. And I sent my midwife a message, and I'm like, had some more clots come out. Zero pain. Like, a little bit of discomfort. I told you it's kind of like, the discomfort was like this,
gas,
comparable to the level of having gas. And I remember, like, when I had one clot that came out in my pad, and then I had the one that I had to change my pants for, and I remember thinking to myself beforehand, that feels like gas. And then I came to realize, I'm like, if I feel a sensation that, like, that feels like gas, that means I need to get up and go sit on the toilet, because it's apparently a clot coming through. Now, I don't think that this is normal. I believe that there are a lot of people who have a lot of pain, a lot of cramping. I've heard of miscarriages being more painful than giving birth. And so I don't know. I don't remember having a lot of pain with my other one, though.
Right.
And so I don't know if it's just, I don't have painful periods. I don't have a lot of symptoms that come with my periods. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. I don't know if God has just blessed this scenario and made it easy on me. I don't know. Okay, so first off, I have to back up for a second, because I found myself thinking, I don't want to go through the process. I heard how painful this was for a lot of people, and I didn't want to have to go through the pain of giving birth and not have a baby again. And it was kind of like that, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, that's a very fear-based thought. And so I then was like, you know, I'm not going to go into the depths of mindset stuff. Basically what it came down to is I decided that this was going to be a smooth and easy process, and that I was going to believe that truth until something else told me otherwise. I told you, I said, I've decided that this is going to be a smooth and easy process, and that God is going to bless this, and that he's going to make it as easy as possible on me. And then, like, as time went on, I'm just like spotting, and there's just like little bits of blood. I'm just like, this is too easy. Like, this just is kind of like surreal. And I'm like, okay, there's 3 different camps that I could go hang out in. Number 1 is that God is making this incredibly, like, easy, and it's surreal. Like, this doesn't happen. This is not how you get all of the stuff that is in your uterus to disappear, because it doesn't just disappear. Number 2 is that there's something wrong, and that there's something that's preventing the miscarriage from happening, and that I'm going to have to go and have a DNC because my body's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. And then camp number 3, I don't know if I said ABC or
1, 2, 3.
Okay. Is that it's still coming, and I'm still going to have to go through this awful, horrific process. And like, I'm gonna just stay here in camp number 1 because I like it here. It's pretty cozy here. And, you know, I kind of wish that I would have realized that there's like a camp number 4, and that yes, God is going to make it easy on me, but it still does have to happen, because that's what ended up happening. And I think that there was a little bit of delusion taking place of that, like, this was going to be it. I was just going to, like, spot my way through a miscarriage. And with that, I kind of took it a little bit too far, because the one regret that I have, like, logistically, is that I did not have any, like, heavy duty pads or Depends or anything like that I would normally hit, like, that you would use after giving birth, or that I ended up using with my last miscarriage. I wish that it would have given me a lot more just peace of mind having some of the heavy duty pads. Some Chuck's pads I think would have just been nice again for peace of mind. I wouldn't have needed them, but
it's very honorable of you to not want to bleed all over our home.
it's totally, yeah. So anyway, as I mentioned, I'm going to kind of get back onto the timeline sort of thing. And so Thursday you left, and then like it stopped and nothing was happening, and I'm like, oh, I was like, maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. And then I'm like, I'm going to take a shower. I haven't taken a shower in a while, so I'm going to go take a shower because I'm going to, clean up after this bleeding and clots and stuff. And I get out of the shower, and I...
Get dressed.
No, I did not even get dressed. You had to bring me clothes. I got out of the shower. I was really confident in my ability to dry off without bleeding on a towel.
That's right. You said I did it. I made it.
I did. And the second that I said I did it, I made it, I was like, oh no. I ran to the bathroom.
No, you were in the bathroom. You were by the sink, and you went...
No, I ran into the toilet room.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need you to bring me my clothes. And I need you to take my towel. And oh my goodness, I bled and released clots like crazy for an hour and a half straight. The one thing that I remember about my last miscarriage was thinking, oh my goodness, there is so much blood. And I finally reached that point of I was like, oh my goodness, there is so much blood and so much clots and just, oh my goodness, how can this happen? And like, I remember going through and thinking like, is this okay? I did. So I finally hit the point of, oh my goodness, there's so much blood. And I remember thinking like, is this normal? And I remember, and I asked you to kind of go back to remember, because you said that I had Dana come over during my last miscarriage because I was like, this is too much blood. There's too much blood. And she came over and she saw what was going on, and she's like, it's totally normal. It's hard to say, like, it's normal to think that there's too much blood because, what if it's too much blood? And so it's really hard to kind of make that distinction. And so one of the things that I think I'm really thankful for is that I did have a midwife that I was working with through this process. Because just being able to kind of be in contact with her, I just kind of was texting with her through the whole process. And to be able to get reassurance that this is normal, this is okay, everything is good. And so, but literally for that hour and a half, you were in here trying to get Breslin to go to sleep.
So Breslin was in the shower with her. She came out. I got her some PJs on, and we're watching kitty cat videos on my cell phone because she wanted to go in and be with Christy, and Christy was going through her process. And I finally was able to get her to go to sleep. I just laid down and I was just scratching her head. She finally fell asleep, and I noticed that I'm falling asleep as well. And I hear flushing in the toilet, and I'm like, okay, great. She's coming to bed. Great. So I kind of just do one of these.
No, there's flushing going on the entire time, though.
Apparently I wasn't paying attention to that. So she flushed. I'm like, all right, this is it. She's coming to bed. 5 minutes later, flush. 5 minutes later, flush. And I yell at her. I go, you all right? And then nothing. She doesn't respond. And I think, oh no. And you go, I'm fine. Probably about
5 minutes later.
10 seconds.
No,
maybe.
Oh, okay.
But when you ask your wife, is everything okay? And she doesn't respond right away, and it's late at night, and you know what's going on, it's eternity. So I was able to get Breslin in her bed, got up, and she's sitting there on the toilet.
I was exhausted, like, cause it started at like 8:30.
It was around 8:30.
And I was exhausted. I almost didn't take a shower because I just wanted to go to bed.
So she's sitting there, and it's like, stand up. Nope. Sit back down.
And that was while you were out here. What I would do is I would sit there, and I wanted to get up and walk around, but I didn't have. Not only did I not have any heavy pads, but I had probably like 8. I had probably 8 pads that were not even overnight. They're just large pads, not even super anything. And then I have my collection of like 6 reusable cloth pads. And I didn't want to be, number one, that pad would have done nothing with how much I was bleeding and the clots and all of that. And so what I would do is I would bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. And then I would wipe, try and get as much as I could. And then I would put on my underwear with a pad. And I would go and I would walk like 10 steps to the counter. And then I would go back. Because I was finding that if I just sat there that my legs were falling asleep. And so, and then I'd go back and I'd sit. And then after probably about 45 minutes into the process, I started making trips to the closet, which is about like 20 steps, and I was grabbing a dropper full of a tincture that my midwife had given me. That's shepherd's purse and yarrow, which is supposed to help stop the bleeding. So that when your placenta detaches from the uterus, that wound stops. Like, it's supposed to help that stop bleeding. Obviously, your uterus is still full of all this blood. You can't stop that from coming out.
But an open wound that's inside your body.
Yes.
It can help slow that process down.
And so I did that probably
90 minutes. Well, you probably did what?
I probably did that like I probably did it about every 10 minutes. And after I did it like 3 times, I sent her a message and I'm like, "How much of that am I supposed to take?" She's like, 1 dropper every 15 minutes or so. I'm like, okay, it's about what I'm doing. So I probably took 4 or 5 doses. And I was just, when you came in, I was just like, I just want to go to bed, but I cannot lay down. I don't have an adequate pad. And I'm just bleeding too much. I can't get up. I can't go lay down. And I'm so tired.
Here comes MacGyver.
Kevin's like,
I got this. Hold on. And we have...
So you go... What do you do?
We have these...
They're reusable Chucks pads. They're like waterproof pads that you use, like we put in the bed, either under babies to make sure they don't pee, or on top of pee if they pee in the middle of the night.
So we have a handful of them, and I just made a big 3x3 square footprint, put those down on top of the bed, put down some older blankets, and said, bed's ready.
That's right, because I remember telling you, I'm like, can you just make me a bed on the floor in the bathroom so I can just bleed while I lay down and not worry about it?
And I go, that's so silly of you. I say, you need to go to bed.
But so I finally did. Like, I reached a point where I was like, things don't feel like they're stopping, but things feel like they're slowing down. And I stood up, and I went and I stood in the bathroom. And I stood in the bathroom for like a minute, which was the longest that I had been able to do so. And I was like, okay, I think I can go with this plan. I'm going to just go lay down and pray that I don't have to rush to the bathroom because of excessive blood coming out.
So we go to bed. It's like 10:30, and I've been watching.
No, it was just after 10.
All right, I've been watching awesome guy stuff on YouTube, and she goes to bed. And
you were watching kitty cat videos.
I had jumped to something very manly, like Bloodsport or something. I remember. And she comes to bed. She's like, "What do you want to watch?" And I go, "Nothing. Let's just go to bed." And it was like Blacklist or something you would put on. She can't go to bed, and I'm dying. And
you so fell asleep.
I did. I passed right out on her. And then hit me. You're like, "Go
Oh,
something.
I was freezing.
That's right. You said you
I
turn the
woke you
fireplace
up.
on.
I was freezing. I sat there and shivered for probably a good 20 minutes before I finally made the decision to wake you up.
Yeah.
And I was so cold.
So,
and I was
MacGyver
like,
to the rescue.
Can
Electric
you please
fireplace.
turn the fireplace on and get me some socks? And I'm like, but can you put my socks
socks
on?
on, yeah.
Because I can't move because I'm afraid if I move, I'm gonna have
You're gonna
blood
crunch,
gush everywhere.
and it's gonna go blood.
Because it was working so far where I had laid down, I took a couple more doses of the shepherd's purse while I was laying in bed, and I was able to lay there and go to and I was up for probably an hour just kind of because I was
You're waiting,
waiting,
and then you finally fell asleep, and then at 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a wake up call that says, "Will you help me go to the bathroom, please?"
Well, I woke you up at some point to ask you to turn the fireplace off. And the first time you didn't, and then the second time you did.
I'm an awesome husband.
And then and then I woke up at 3:30 and I was like, I need to go to the bathroom.
Reminds me of the night that I slept through Christmas.
Oh yeah. That was a good one. I was terrified that again, I'm gonna gush blood all over. And so I was like, all right, help me take my pants off so that I can grab one of these
bundle up the MacGyver
pads.
bed.
Because when you have a baby, you use a Chuck's pad as a saddle that you sit on. You kind of wrap it underneath, and
you can't walk very good because you're just giving birth.
So that's what I know, and so I'm like, I need you to help me do this so that if I bleed through the pad, it goes onto that, and you're like, let's just use the towel as well, and so.
We walk to the bathroom.
Walk to the bathroom.
It's like a 3, 2, 1, whoof, onto the toilet in some magical formation, and you're like.
I look at the pad and it's
there's barely anything there.
It's
there's stuff.
It's not full, but it's fully coated, and that was it. The pad caught it all, and I was just like, that
Sweet.
was so silly.
Okay, let's fast forward through that morning, and. That was yesterday. This is today.
So that was yesterday, and I, honestly, I was just spotting yesterday. It was, done. And very little bleeding. I didn't even change my pad at all yesterday. It was so little blood. I did notice that each time that I went to the bathroom, there were, little tiny clots or specks or, a variety of different things that would come out and be on the toilet paper when I wiped. And then went to bed tonight. I kind of I don't think I mentioned that. I mentioned that there was no pain leading up to it, but there is no pain through the entire process.
But afterward that night you were exhausted, and the following morning
I felt wore out.
Yeah.
And this morning, the second day.
Oh, that's right. This was 2 days ago.
I felt. Sorry. I told you, and I told my midwife too.
Raw.
I'm I feel that, I got hit by a truck feeling, what you have, not to the same caliber of after giving birth, but it's that same type of feeling. I find it kind of amazing that there was no pain, there was no hard work on my part. It was just something that I went through and experienced. And yet, 2 days later, I have that feel like I got hit by a truck, sort of a symptom.
You were...
And I told my midwife, I'm it doesn't make sense, but it does. Because although I don't feel like I was actively doing anything and there wasn't any pain, my body still went through a major process.
Well... I'll say you were probably tensing up physically and not even knowing it. I mean, I don't know. I remember when I used to watch wrestling tapes, I'd start sweating, I'd get so tense watching them, you know?
Okay.
So.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, think about how much you were clenching holding in your core, your pelvic floor, engaging.
To get to the bathroom?
To get to the bathroom and then standing up. I mean... Yeah, I can see how that would be a workout. Now we have schnickeldoodles.
Well, and I do, like, there is a little bit of there's a little bit of soreness down there, and I'm like, well, there's been a lot of wiping going on, and there's usually not that much wiping going on. And I'm usually, like, and I'm probably a little bit more aggressive with the wiping, because I want to get all the blood. So, the other thing that I think is really helpful to have is Norwex body cloths. Yeah, so that was that, and I think I'm bleeding a little bit more today than what I was yesterday.
I want you to get mentally prepared that you're going to bleed for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep, I know. And
be okay with that.
One thing to make a long video even longer. One of the things...
Good 5-minute video.
One of the things that I have come to realize in this process is that I need to be okay with accepting accountability for what my body needs.
Yeah.
And that's something that I have learned to listen to my husband. I've learned to listen to my midwife and to do what they say. I've learned to listen to my body, but usually what that means is I listen to my body, I communicate to you, and you enforce orders on, like, take it easy. And I go with that, and I'm willing to accept that. But I don't, like, if I was thinking about it, if you just decided for some reason not to catch on or to not be supportive of me taking time to rest and recover, that I probably would not do it. And I'm like, that's not good. Mm-mm. I need to take that accountability myself, and I need to own that. And so...
You husbands out there need to get your butts in gear and step up and serve and love and protect your wives.
That's so true.
Because if
so
you
important.
don't, you will allow them to drag themselves down into a terrible, terrible camp with all the other versions of your wife who are not the best versions of what God made them to be.
I didn't take care of myself. And I think that, I don't know what I don't think I would have been able to go from not taking care of myself to, well, I'm going to now and take accountability for that now.
However, don't tell your wives not to eat cookies.
Sometimes we just need
cookies.
Yeah. So anyway, so I made the decision that I was gonna take a day off yesterday. Oh. And then I woke up this morning, I'm like, I'm taking a day off again. And I had kind of decided on 2 days. And I'm gonna play it by ear for the next few days. And if I have to lay in bed for a week, you're supposed to take it easy for 2 to 6 weeks on a different level after giving birth. And you do give, like,
so here's the thing.
I had this miscarriage at 11 weeks. Like, it was not early.
Yeah. Why rush the process in order to get through it quicker? Mm-hmm. To have
it take longer.
To have it take longer in the end. This was long and grueling. But the ultimate goal is to share this process with you in a very real way so that you understand what to expect when something like this happens. Both kind of relationally, but more specifically physically. And I can say with the utmost confidence that trusting the process and giving the situation to our King is the best possible way, instead of pushing the darn river.
And there, like, you kind of suggested the idea of me doing this video alone. And I think, I thought about the fact that 99% of all of the miscarriage story videos out there are a woman talking about it alone. And I think that this is something that, if you haven't already realized this, that this is something that your husband goes through as well with you. And that I encourage you to, like, if he's not with you right now, to grab him and watch this together, as opposed to just kind of watching it alone, because I think that having him have an idea of what to expect is going to be helpful.
Take this opportunity to search what God has for you, what blessings that can come out of this, what lessons that you can learn to become the best version of you. Because I know it's a cliche, but in Romans 8:28 says all things do work for the good of the Lord, for those who are called according to His purpose. And yeah,
something that we heard when we lost Xander was the saying that hard is hard, but hard's not bad. And that's something that we clung to during that time. And I think that it's something that is just very
that's so true.
Front of mind again.
Yeah, and it's such a resilient type. I don't know. It's hardcore. It's a hardcore thought. Hard is hard, and hard is not bad.